Welcome back to all our friends, family, and yes, even our foes, to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, where Todd and his sports-passionate kids are ready to bring you the latest updates and insights on all things sports. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here are your hosts, Kellen, Garrett, Gannon, and coming to you from the Foxx Den, their dad, Todd Foxx.
Boomer Sooner, and welcome back to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast. An epic fourth quarter for the Oklahoma Sooners just happened about, an hour and a half ago, perhaps, and we wanted to make sure we got on here early to capture the excitement, and plus the fact that some of us aren't going to be able to do it later on in the week, so we'll be out of town. But with that being said, again, it wasn't the greatest game, but it was a pretty good fourth quarter. Kellen, what do you got? You got anything? What your thoughts are so far in the game? What do you got?
First drive, I was really just real hyped up. I was just like, hey, I was actually angry that I didn't make the 2-hour drive to go to this game. But I would have had to go alone, and the crazy weather we're having in this area, I just didn't know if it'd be the smartest move. But then for the next 3 quarters, I was like, wow, nothing's changed. Felt bad for Hawkins, nobody to throw to. I mean, it was just rough. Defense did not look fired up at all. They didn't. I don't know how they stayed in that game with Tennessee fired up the whole game, and this one they just walked in with zero fire, but showed up when it mattered. 60-yard bomb down the field, and then defense makes some clutch stops, pick six, but also after that, they just started lighting it up. They couldn't do anything. They had the sacks, all that good stuff. So it's a dirty win, but a great first SEC win, because you can't really ask for just a more exciting game in the end.
Right. Callie, what about yourself? You're pretty excited. A little nervous there for a while, but you're pretty excited.
Thank goodness for Hawkins and R. Mason, honestly.
Yeah. Played
Two
it.
players
Incredible.
of the game, in my opinion.
What's that?
Players of the game, in my opinion. Obviously,
There you go.
Kip Lewis, too. But
Yeah.
Also, Bauer Sharp. He only had 4 catches, but I feel like they were important catches. That got us going.
he should have caught that one. That was like a very late throw.
Is it 2-point conversion?
2-point conversion. He just kind of tossed it up. Yeah.
It was like right in his hands, and he was just like on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had that one pass called back. There was, I think, who was 17? Is that Petaway? Made that little block in the back. It really wasn't a block in the back. No, that was a different play. Never mind. Because that was on run. But yeah.
But also Hester.
Yeah. But I mean,
Hester was
regardless.
making plays.
Regardless. Clay, what do you got?
I think, basically somebody asked me earlier in the week what I thought, and I was like, well, if we can turn it over like they have been, then we should win. And, I kind of thought maybe it'd be something like Tennessee that, we'd get a turnover, not score, do something. But that I thought, well, if we can get 3 turnovers and score once or twice out of it, I think I predicted 21-10 OU.
Really?
Just because I thought they'd turn it over, and I didn't think they could run on us like they did, but that running back's pretty studly. He's huge, and they had a good game plan. And, Hawkins did an incredible job not turning the ball over, and I think that was pretty obvious. That was the game plan. It's pretty conservative offense for sure, and until they had to. And I didn't think we'd be able to score right there at the end or not, just because we hadn't even tried hardly. Threw one pass down the field the whole game except for the one we caught. So he was like 1 for 2 over 20 yards.
Yeah.
But it was a good ending. It was exciting. I have a feeling this is the way every game's going to go the rest of the year except for maybe one.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. The same thing whenever all that was going on. Like every single one of these games are probably going to come down to something similar to this. And that's part of it. I mean, I know whenever we found out we were going to the SEC years ago, Garrett told me, hey, your stress level is getting ready to get much, much higher. But, I mean, it is what it is. still, we won the game regardless. We're 4-1, which I'll take. Little Sooner magic, little Kip. What was it? A Kip 6 is what I called it. A Kip 6. Of course, I saw that somewhere else, but I stole it. Kip 6, which was fantastic. That reminded me of, and I sent all you guys that same text, a different text. Torrance Marshall, he had that big interception against A&M, and we were at A&M in 2000. Down 35 or 31-21, scored a touchdown, and I think I'm not 100% sure. I want to say it was the very next play. May not have been, but he intercepted, ran it back in. We won 35-31, and just kind of catapulted us. We were good that year. I think we were number one anyway. We were having a hard time that game, just like this game. Through the first three quarters, not good. I heard that Hawkins had 61 yards passing through the first three quarters and had 100 yards passing exactly in the fourth quarter. So I guess that's kind of one of the questions I wanted to say is, do you think that Oklahoma obviously looked like they kind of opened it up a little bit because they needed to, because they had to get down the field? And then
that's what I've been begging them to do all year.
Right.
I think Jackson would be a completely different quarterback if we threw it downfield a little more.
Yeah. Clay, Callie, what do you guys think? Do you think we opened it up quite a bit more or what? Good talk. Good talk.
I mean, he only threw 15 passes. He was 10 for 15.
I think we were in that spot that we had to try something. And,
sure.
But I just think our receivers just have such a hard time of getting open.
Yeah.
But I think they did a pretty decent job. I don't remember any drop passes or anything like that. So that's good. Like I said, they just have a hard time getting open. But I just think had such a conservative running game or offensive game call. But then again, I think we ran something like 17 plays in the first half. I mean, it was like ridiculous. And they were in the mid to upper 30s.
Sure.
So it's hard to do anything whenever you're don't ever have the ball.
Well, I know end of the game, total yards. Well, first downs, Auburn had 26. We had 11. Total yards, 482 for Auburn, 291 for Oklahoma, 338 yards passing for Auburn, 161 for us. We had, Hawkins was 10 out of 15. They had 144 rushing yards, 3.3 yards an attempt, which honestly was surprising to me. We had 130, which is a 4.1 average, which honestly was another surprising to me. Of course, Hawkins had that big run. And, of course, the big thing, they had 35 minutes and 26 seconds time of possession. We had 24 minutes, 34 seconds. But the big thing is that one turnover that completely changed everything. And I would like to ask the question, did anybody make that call? Anybody predict that right during that series? Anybody? Do you remember?
I didn't.
I think I made a quick phone call and I said, hey, we're going to get a pick six here.
Nobody's going to give it up to me, huh? I sent it out.
You did text it. I mean, we all knew we were due.
Oh, stop it.
It'd been a few quarters at that point.
If Paul was being honest, he'd say that while we were watching the game, I was like, oh, it's about to be pick six, and then he goes and texts it in the group chat, so he's the only one who has it in writing.
What are you saying?
I could see that happening.
What did you just say? No.
Truth.
All I know is I said pick six, and Garrett said, kind of ticks him off that I called it, but he was happy for the interception. So that's
the only thing that ticked me off is that I just didn't go to that game. I was texting Gary at the end of that. He said, you probably would have left when it went 21-10. I said maybe, but also I might have wanted to make that 2.5 hour drive worth it. But
true.
I'm just
pretty
impressive. Looking at the stats, though, we did not have a lot of players involved. We had two players with rushing stats and 4 players with receiving stats. Like, it was a very...
We should have had 3 players with rushing stats.
We should have done... What happened to Sawchuk? Like, did he just have that one?
And Hawkins.
That got called back? We had a lot of penalties.
10, yeah.
Let me see what I see.
5 of them were on our tight ends.
Yeah. It was a rough game on the...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I only see Barnes and Hawkins. Sawchuk had that run, but was there a penalty on that run?
Yeah, his long run got called back.
Holding, wasn't it?
Yeah, by a tight end.
We only have 6 players with any yards at all.
It's just crazy,
like on offense.
That is crazy.
We got it done.
We got it done. Clay had the quote of the day saying, "We stink, but they stink worse." So that kind of was a lot of truth to that.
The thing is, we just need our defense to come fired up. If they come fired up every game, we will be fine. But we'll be better.
We can't. Here's the thing: like, our defense has got to have some rest at some point. They can't keep out there and just it can't just always be on them. We've got to get some offensive play calling opening up. I don't know if any, because we know Gibson's not coming back this year. We know what's his name? Nick Anderson's not coming back, right? Farouk will be a ways if he even does come back. Hopefully we'll get the kid from Purdue, Burks, back soon. And I don't know who else is it. Anthony? I mean, he's hadn't played well.
Anthony had another surgery yesterday. He's out for the year.
So he's out. So that's what I'm saying. So
Anderson might come back.
Really? I heard he was out for the year.
Burks will come back at Texas.
Okay.
But I don't know.
So we got that extra week.
We'll
see.
And then we lost Tatum as well.
All I know is how many other teams in college football, of the great teams or any other team, with their 5 top receivers, a suspect offensive line, and a quarterback change, how much would these guys be able to be successful either? We're 4-1. I'll take it. We haven't looked pretty. We got a bye week in between us and Texas. But, I mean, you tell me. I think everybody would struggle. Most teams, don't you think?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it's actually pretty gutsy if you think about it. That, like, how did that happen? How did we win? I know Auburn's not the greatest, but we played at Auburn with all those things you just described.
Yeah,
and so yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, I know OU Texas is always crazy, but they are ranked number 1, so this is going to be pretty hard.
It looked like a pretty good environment too, especially for Auburn fans. I mean, it looked like I don't want to say hostile, but it looked like a tough place to play regardless there at Auburn. And we came out of it. We came out with a victory somehow, some way. We kept fighting, kept pushing. And next thing you know, we're 4-1, which there's a lot of people. I was looking at Twitter or X or what do you want to call it during the game, and people were just, Seth Luttrell needs to be fired right now. Mm-hmm. Brent Venables needs to go. Hawkins stinks. We need to get somebody else in, which, I mean, all possibly may be true. I don't know. I mean, but then at the end, Oklahoma pulls it out. And then I'm looking on a lot of message boards, and all these other fans are ripping on OU, how we beat a terrible Auburn team, and we think we're beating our chest and things like that. I'm like, knock it off, man. Like, I went through all those, what we did. It was a little bit of Sooner magic as well, and I will take that any day of the week when we can win a ball game, especially on the road in the SEC. Regardless, we'll take it. What else about the game that Clay, you were talking the missed field goals obviously played a big part of it.
Yeah, technically that guy missed 3, even though only 2 will show up in the books because, he missed that one. We should have never – I can't believe we try to run another guy out there, which when they're hurrying, just play with what you got. That was a dumb move, whoever made that call. And then we got lucky when he missed it again, and then he missed another one a little bit later on. I mean, there's 6 points. And then we also
on their first drive
backup kicker come in. Granted, he was our kicker last year, but that's huge in that environment. Come down there, and I mean, because our is it Kellner? Is that his name? Yeah, he's pretty good, and so I think that was a good thing that in the kicking game. And other than that, I mean, that was a difference in the game.
Yeah, Kellner, what were you going to say?
I was just saying that first drive they had, they went for it on 4th and 1 or whatever it was.
Missed it.
They could have just gone ahead and taken that field goal, but
true.
All of that plays part of it. So it's just we got the win. That's all that matters.
The commentators kept pointing out that it was like Hawkins' first start on an away game, but they never really pointed out that it was his first ever like college start. Like, he hasn't started even at like in Norman. So the fact that he can come out and do his first college start and it be the first like away game of the season and he can pull out a win, I think it's going to be good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very impressive. You can tell he's committed with him already flipping into the end zone twice.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do y'all think about that 2-point conversion? What were y'all's thoughts on that? Because that was, I mean, he scrambled around. I thought he was going to get nailed in the backfield.
I just saw Sam Bradford, so I was just for the second week in a row. So I was just like, I was just glad he hopped up and he was good.
I think it's exciting, but we've got to do a lot better job inside the 5-yard line.
100%.
2-point conversions. I mean, we had that one sweet play that threw it wide open to Javonte Barnes, and it was a penalty on a tight end.
Right.
And threw that away. But other than that, we had the ball 1st and goal on the 2 after that pass interference and didn't score. Or had to kick a field goal. And, I mean, we got to – that's not very good. And it seems like our most exciting plays right there is him diving in and getting flipped upside down because he's done it about 3 times already. I was like, well, he's not going to survive very long. We've got to be able to punch it in some other way.
Sure. And we had 10 penalties for 78 yards. They had 7 penalties for 61 yards. We got to clean a lot of that stuff up. Got to clean it up. Can't have that. If you have 10 penalties in a game, that's not a good sign. It needs to be as minimal as possible, obviously. But Hawkins, I mean, first 3 quarters, not that great. Played pretty decent in the 4th quarter. Again, I think that we obviously opened it up a little bit. And actually, I was actually surprised. Like, I think our line did a pretty decent job in the 4th quarter, helping us get back in that game. So hopefully we can get some momentum. I know we got a bye week next week, as does Texas, and then we'll play Texas here 2 weeks from today, which will be an interesting game as well. But I'll take this win any day of the week for sure. Any other thoughts regarding any of the craziness that went on today? I know Ole Miss got beat by Kentucky, and Alabama's destroying Georgia right now. But I mean, anything else on the OU part? Why do you think Sawchuk's not playing much? What's going on there with him? Any ideas? I have no idea.
I haven't heard a single word about him except for all last year everybody just kept talking about what's wrong with Javonte Barnes because why he's not playing. It's like weird how it's roles are reversed and neither one of them nobody's really saying. I mean, so it's just like what's happened here because I thought he was pretty good last year. And, last week against Tennessee, they rolled out Tatum and Barnes to start the game. So Barnes played 98% of the time today. And that's a good question. I don't really know.
And then towards the end of that game, and that final, I think, drive, the R. Mason Thomas coming up huge, like Callie said a little while ago. Take us back to that. What were you guys? I mean, because I know they needed to get in field goal position, or heck, they had to get a touchdown at that point, right? Whenever we got those sacks, or was that before that? I think it was actually may have been before that when he got a bunch of those sacks. And then was it Spears Jennings? Is that his name? Came in like a missile, just came right through. I mean, you saw him coming from the top of the screen down and then sacking the quarterbacks. Just totally awesome. So we had our defense stepped up right whenever it needed to, and they kept us in the ball game the whole time. But they really stepped up there at the end. Kellen, anything?
I mean, yeah, it's been the story all year. They've kept us in games. Today they weren't getting the turnovers till the end like they have in the past 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but they did what they had to do today. They kept us close. We got some fire underneath us on offense, got the stops, and I don't know. I mean, if we can figure the offense out, the defense can win championships. The offense has to catch up.
For sure. What happened to our kicker? How come he didn't play, the normal guy? Was he hurt?
He had his appendix taken out.
Oh, really? Yeah. So, Schmidt coming in there. And I text Clay, this is a crucial field goal. I can't remember what the verbiage I used. But, yeah, he made that kick, and he missed a lot of that kind of stuff last year. So I'll take it. I mean, hats off to him, hats off the whole team. Any issues with Seth Luttrell as the offensive coordinator still?
coming out of this game? Play calling or anything?
Man, it's so hard to tell. I mean, the dude's smart. He's been around. He's been a head coach. He's not the only one out there. He has to make the calls, but he's not the only one designing the plays. There's a lot of, you got DeMarco Murray, who's smart, and Joe John Finley, Bill Bedenbaugh,
Right.
those four guys. Emmett Jones, that's his name, the receivers coach. I mean, those guys are smart and good coaches. So I just think that since January of last year, they thought they were going to be one particular type of team, and we're going to run our offense this way with all our guys this summer, and then slowly those receivers start getting plucked off, and then our offensive line, we finally had pretty much the same guys 2 weeks in a row. Other than that, it hasn't been, and so I just think that they're just like he has no idea what we got. I mean, So you take 3 quarters, and y'all made good points about him being really slow for 3 quarters. He has no idea how good Michael Hawkins is and what he can do. He's only seen him play for 5 quarters or 6 quarters now.
Right.
That's it.
Right. No, I totally agree with that point for sure. What else? Kellen, what do you guys got? Any takeaways like with Seth Luttrell? Or I know people are roasting him on all social media sites and all that, but
I'm not a fan of him. I think the last 4 weeks he just played a very boring offense that didn't get anything moving. But today it's hard to say, like with all the injuries and with the uncertainty, I don't know if anybody could have done a much better job at that point. I think if Hawkins had even one or two of his 5 receivers been maybe different on the taking shots, but I wasn't a fan of him the last 4 weeks, but I can't say too much today because I don't think he had much choice.
yeah. What about in a game like this? And I know it's easy to sit there and say after the fact, and we won and all that. Momentum. How much? Because we don't know how that's going to what's going to happen for the rest of the season. But just a game like that, from going in the jaws of being 3-2 to being 4-1. What kind of do you think how that could help us throughout the rest of the season? Anyone? Anything? Any thoughts on that? How that momentum from this victory with Michael Hawkins was trusting in him, trusting each other, and pulling out the victory. What do you think?
I mean, I would think it would give us some fire and some momentum, especially these days, like with the 12-team playoff. One loss isn't going to kill you, especially against a Tennessee team. So, it would take a lot for us to get to the playoffs with the schedule we have. But with the record we have, it is possible. You just got to keep going. So I would think it would light us up. I mean, in my mind, I would think this next game, we're going to enter Texas fired up. If you win Texas, you would think you'd leave fired up. But we saw last year we lost all of our momentum after beating Texas. It made no sense. But I mean, it's Oklahoma, Texas. It can go either way. Obviously, they got a great thing going right now, but you never know in that rivalry.
True. We'll see. What do you think?
I mean, just what Cullen said, you're hoping that they get enough momentum to come out and do good with the rest of the schedule, but I guess we'll see. I mean, last year when we had the Texas game and we were all hyped up and then we had a bye week, I'm hoping that's not what's going to happen this year.
Yeah. Clay, anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just I went back and rewound it to about 9 minutes to go in the game. And with, 8:36, something like that, is when we scored. We were down 21-10 with basically 8 minutes to go in the game. And we scored 17 points in the last 8 minutes. And so to me, I think that was what they're going to get the most out of this. It was just keep playing. Just keep playing. One little thing will happen and we can turn this around. So I hope that that's what we gain, that confidence, that play all the way to the end and you never know.
Definitely. So Oklahoma 4-1. Next game, week after this, will be Texas Longhorns. right, so I've got one question I'm going to ask everybody. I'm going to steal it from Clay because he asked me this in the text thread or in the text messages earlier. Would you rather have a defense that's kind of getting torched for 35 points a game, or have an offense that's struggling to sometimes even get a first down? What would you rather have? Callie, why don't you guys go first, because I know Clay's answer, and he'll expand on that.
It's hard. I don't know. At this point, it's hard to say. I would say I'd rather have a defense giving up 35 because, in my mind, if you have an offense that's struggling to get a first down, the defense is going to ultimately let up 35. Defense is really hard to play whenever you're on the field the whole time. I mean, it's still hard to say, but right now I'm leaning towards offense only for that reason. I'd rather have a good offense.
Callie, what about yourself?
I'd agree, because I'd say no matter like how good your defense is, if your team can't score any points, then like you're going to end up losing. But also, if your defense is bad and your offense gets tired from all of the time of possession, I mean, I'd rather just have both good, honestly.
Well, there you go.
I wanted that really good defense that last 4 minutes.
Yeah, I did
the
too.
The rest of the time, I wanted the offense.
I know. Clay, tell them kind of what you were explaining to me.
Yeah, it's you always have a chance if you can score. I mean, when you have a team that you're like, okay, well, we got a minute and a half and go 80 yards. Yeah, we can do this. We've done it all game. We can score real quick. It's so funny how we're just as Sooner fans, like, remember that Mahomes Mayfield game that time? We're just like, and the West Virginia game that one time, and Oklahoma State was Mason Rudolph. We're like, why can't we get a defense that can stop anybody? Yeah. I mean, so it's so frustrating watching a team that just could never stop anybody. I mean, it's like we couldn't get in the right positions, but then we made up for it by not being able to tackle. I mean, just you know what I mean? Just so I don't know. I'm with Callie. Why can't we just be good on both sides?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we say this all the time, but it's all those years of having a crazy offense, and then the second that our offense takes a dip, our defense is just all of a sudden cracked.
It's unfortunate the way it is. I want to see one of these games we're able to control the time of possession by running the football. Hopefully that'll come up soon. But, yeah, I agree with you guys 100%. I'd rather have the offense. Thing is, what I always wondered is, did we score so fast a lot of those times that our defense was constantly out there, getting tired? But what I mean by that is, instead of having, like, say, 9 possessions a game, was it 11 or 12, even 13 possessions a game for both teams, because both teams were scoring so fast, and that's why the yardage and all that got higher. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that I would like to have both, but if I had to choose for one, I would rather know that my offense can go out there and score. And a lot of times it comes down to who has the ball last, and with minimal time left or whatever it might be. But that's just how I feel. But on to Oklahoma, or on to Texas here in a few weeks. Garrett will be back with us. He may even pop in a little his own little video of how he felt from himself, how the game went, because I know he had a lot to say as well. But he unfortunately had some stuff to do this evening. Several of us, I'll be out all week. Kellen isn't able to do it in a few days, so we do want to thank Clay for making time to be on the podcast tonight for the Oklahoma Sooners. I know the Brent Venables and all the staff appreciate you being here, so thank you very much. I would like to remind everybody that iron sharpens iron. Please stay safe, be savage and not average. Remember to join the skulk, and always remember to stay thirsty, my friends. And until next time, goodbye, everybody. Boomer.
Thank you for listening to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast. Be sure to subscribe for free to our YouTube channel, Foxx Den Sports. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Foxx Den Sports, and on Facebook at Foxx Den Sports Podcast. You can also email us at foxdensports@yahoo.com. This has been Foxx Den Sports.